Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. Now we have my laptop charger here. It's a Fujitsu and my laptop's not charging and it's really frustrating. So we're going to see if we can fix it. What is wrong and can we fix it? So let's plug it in first. And there's no light on this, but it is a 19 volt charger. Right, so where was we? I'm back. What I'm going to do first is see what power we have coming out, because if we have something coming out, it's better than no, if we don't have something coming out, it's better than just a little bit coming out, because yeah, we don't want just a little bit coming out because it means it could possibly be a harder fix. So 19 volts. Power is normally on the inside and the earth is on the outside. And let's just get this in shot a bit better. Wait, what? We have 19.5 volts coming out. How do we have 19.5 volts? It's not charging. Oh, hold on. It's flickering. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, gone. What did I do? Ah, look at that. Can you see that? Oh, this should hopefully be a nice easy fix then. Yeah, we have a loose connection, so the strain relief maybe didn't really work properly. Right, what we need to do now, we need to crack it open. Be careful when you do crack these open, because they might still have a bit of power in with the caps still being charged, so you can just plug it back into the mains and not switch it on. But what we need to do now is we need to take these apart. I've only taken a few of these apart and they're normally glued. I can't see any signs of screws. So what we need to do is we need to pour something down here to basically crack the glue. There's loads of things you can use. You can use some type of glue, like ETA glue remover. I'm trying to think what I've got here. I've got some glue remover, but I think it's at the house. Let me see what I can find to do this. Right, what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to use some thinners. That's all I have here. It should work. I've never used it for this, I must be honest, but I'm hoping I can just get it in to there, squeeze it out, there we go, let it soak in there. I'm hoping this should work. And I let that soak in there for a few minutes either side, and should hopefully work. Maybe 3 or 4 minutes each side, I'm not sure yet, we'll see. So I'm just going to keep doing that on all the sides, and yeah, I'll turn the camera back on. Right, so what I've done is I've done both sides, and I'm just going to let it sit here at the minute, and I've just kind of mopped it up around the outside, but you can still see it's kind of wet inside the crack. Lie it down there and let it kind of soak in, and hopefully this will work. I think, to be fair, the thinners is a bit too rough on it really, but it should still melt the glue for me. You can get like a little screwdriver in there and try and crack it, but you tend to break the actual block, and tell me how I know that. So I've done it this way. Well, haven't used thinners before, I must admit. I've used glue dissolvers and stuff like that, and I've never had an issue, but Thinners might be a little bit too strong. But we'll see. This one's being a bit stubborn. Now it goes without saying, whenever you use anything like this to open one of these, don't power it back on until you get it open and clean everything out, because you'll be going bye-bye. Or you'll have 5 billion bits of plastic and metal and all sorts in your old boat race. So don't do it. What I'm doing is, I'm just leaving it to set a little bit more. I've just got a ruler and I'm just scoring down there just to remove some of the crap. I've just done it, so I'm not going to do it again. I'm just going to leave it in there for a few more minutes and hopefully it's just going to dissolve away that glue. It should do, but thinners is a bit harsh, especially on the plastic. But it's not going to make a difference. We'll get it open. Hopefully it's just a couple of cracked solder joints. Hopefully the PCB or anything isn't damaged or anything like that, and it's just a case of resoldering it and putting it back together and getting my laptop up and working, because the problem I'm having at the minute is I've got another charger but it's not the correct charger for it. It goes in but it kind of works. It's the same voltage, which is important, but it's not the right connection, and it's kind of making my laptop earth funny, and it's going when I put it on, when I put the scope on, it's just not earthing through the laptop very well, and it's just causing me problems. So I need to get this sorted. And if we can save a few quid and not buy a new charger, then that's all the better. Sorted. Alright, like I said, this one's been a bit annoying. I've just got my little ruler in here and, like I said, scraping it away and just kind of trying to twist it. Let's see if we've kind of got it some way where it's coming apart now. Oh, yeah, I see it. There we go. So it does work, but I wouldn't advise using this. Just use the proper glue. Oh, be careful we don't break the other side. One side's released, but the other side hasn't. There we go. Just glue it back down afterwards. Expect to see the shield, and as you can see, there is a tiny bit of residue on the inside which we will need to get off, obviously, before we put it back. And yeah, now let's see if we can see what's going on. Is it vessel joints on the PCB, or we have splits or cuts in the string leaf? Which again is a possibility, just to see the shield off. Let's reuse that. Now, unclip it. Like I said, you need to be careful of the caps because they could still be powered. You can get a nasty shock off them. So you really want to know what you're doing when you're messing with anything powered by the mains. Not 12 volts anymore, people. Well, technically it's 19 volts coming out of it, but it ain't 19 volts going in. Now that's actually onto the PCB, so we need to turn on the soldering iron and suck that bad boy off. That sounded so wrong. Right, there's loads of ways of desoldering something. You can use desolder wick, which basically like sucks up the solder, you know, it just sucks it into it, or you can use a solder sucker. But for something like this, what we should be able to do is literally just put a soldering iron on it and hopefully at the same time just move it actually off. That's what we should be able to do, like that. See? And then we can just solder that back on. Now, dog can see the rabbit. Like I said, you really want to be careful of the caps. I was expecting, to be honest, maybe a cap blown. So I'm going to check the caps. The caps are here, making sure they're not bulged out or anything like that. They all look good. You can see the top of a cap when it bulges out. But that, to be fair, looks okay. That doesn't look to be... You can see these were hand soldered on. There's left all the flux behind, but it doesn't appear to be cracked. So I'm wondering, I think we've got a problem inside our strain relief. I'll reflow these joints, but I don't think it's really going to make that much difference, to be honest. Kind of went down a bit. Get my old hog's hairbrush out. Hog's hairbrush. I'm really struggling to see what is going on. It doesn't appear. I think we've got a cracked joint. We can kind of check that. What we'll do is get it back out. We will let's make sure that's staying there. Yeah, if you look at that, as I'm moving that, you can just see my finger moving. So we've got a problem inside the strain relief, not actually on the PCB itself. Just check everything. I want to be opening this up again. Yeah, so that's the problem we have, and I don't know if this is... Oh, it is. Oh, wow. Is that actually... I was hoping that strain relief is slidable, and it is. Is it? No, it's not. Oh, it is. Well, we just made it. Yeah. Actually looks burnt. If you look at that, the camera's going to focus. If you look at the white one, the camera's going to focus. It looks burnt. Okay. Right, what I'm going to do is just strip all this back. I have the right tools up here with me. Can't be bothered to go back downstairs. I should do. Let me just cut this off somewhere where I know the wires are good. And let's see what we can do. Alright. So looks good. What I'm going to have to do, get some heat shrink. We'll desolder these first. What I should have done really always forget to do this. Which way does that go? This way. Goes inside the case. Should have put these in first. Hopefully we can thread them through. Will they go through? Oh, I don't think so. I'll just cut a bit more off. We've lost a bit of length, but hey, what's a bit of length? Hindsight's a wonderful invention, isn't it? What I should have done is strip back one of the single wires long enough, because obviously a lot thinner, 3 times thinner than all the wires together, and poke that through. That would have then allowed me to pull the rest through. And I know the reason why the wires were burnt, because obviously what happens is, if you don't know, when a wire just kind of touches, this is what causes a lot of fires on cars and fires in anywhere, especially electrics. When a wire is kind of touching and sparking, that spark causes heat, which then, depending on what components on, can cause it to go on fire. So it's kind of dangerous, and that's why you need protection and circuits to kind of stop this from going off. So that's the trick. Peel back just one of the wires long enough so you can pull it all the way through and snip it, and then yeah, sorted. And now we have the strain relief on. I'm going to put this up here and heat that down once we get the circuit board ready. So now let's desolder this. I'll show you a couple of ways of doing it. Now, to be fair, we don't actually need to do what I'm going to do now, but I'll just show you, just so you know. There's loads of this, especially with this type of work, there's loads of ways of doing it. So what I'm going to do, got my solder sucker, wait for my soldering iron to heat up. Get it ready, so I've pushed the tube in, as you can see. Put it over the solder. Wait for the solder to melt, keep the iron there, and then just put this up to it, suck it off. You can see the chunks are taken out. You might have to do it a couple of times depending on how much solder is actually there. Hopefully this is kind of coming through. Once that comes off, we can suck the rest of it off. Now, that is off. The hole, the hole is straight through, as you can see. Haven't done any damage. Another way of doing it, getting your solder wick out, and all you do is you put your solder wick on the solder you want to remove. Put your soldering iron on top, and it just wicks it through. The solder wick acts like a sponge. This is lead free solder. So sometimes, as you can see, lead free solder takes a lot more heating up, especially when you're on top of the solder wick. There we go. As you can see, the solder wick has sucked it up. We have the hole again, so we're ready to put everything back. Alright, so I've just pared back the wire again. I'm going to get some shrink wrap and just cut some off, just for some protection against the other one. As you can see, like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tin this first. We'll just push this one back. So we're going to pre-tin these wires. It's just easier to pre-tin the wires now, and it just makes it easy going on the board. So we'll just, you can see, very, very easy. I would normally have my sucker on. This thing here sucks all the crap away, but because it's on camera, it sounds horrible, and yeah, but you don't want to be breathing this crap in. Right, wires are tinned. Where is my heat shrink that I cut, that I've lost? Now, what we need to do is just bang these back on here. Which should be simple, but it looks like that's a bit too thick. Oh no, we're okay. You want to get them as tight onto the board as you possibly can. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. Let me just put them both in. As you can see, try not leave any wire sticking out. You can always cut this end off, but you want to keep that as tight there as you can. So what we'll do is we'll put the soldering iron at the back of the wire. Because it's pre-tinned, we shouldn't need a lot. Put a bit of on the iron, put it at the back of the wire and feed it through. As you'll see, once I've done the second one, you'll have nice shiny joints that'll go all the way around, and that are basically penetrated. Right, so as you can see that, oh, focus camera, hardly any wire sticking out there, and nice shiny joints there. Didn't really need any flux, but what I want to do now is I just want to test this and see if it's working. But we'll just shove everything back, because that's what you should really do, because we are talking about dangerous voltage that will send you sky high, literally. Oh, I didn't cut them off, did I? So let me trim them back a bit. Right, that's why I think it's just so best to check these things. This turns, well, if this fixes it, it turns out to be a very simple, easy fix, very cheap, and you know, it saves you buying a new charger. But not only that, you know, saves you putting all this stuff into landfills and stuff like that, recycling and all that good stuff, and you've actually got the satisfaction of fixing it yourself, which is kind of the best thing in my opinion. So let's just get that down, get this in place, because we need to get our shield, one we have to solder down onto there. You know, it just needs some simple tools, good solder station. Not to be an absolute idiot when you're dealing with this, like to work on it when it's plugged in, but then my old mate Darwin and natural selection and all that, you know, it's good. Right, so that's all on. Just make sure it's a good connection. Put that on there like that. There's my case. Bang it in my case. Nope, the top one. what we can do is we can see if she goes bang, because I mean it could do. I hope it doesn't, because it's not going to be nice, especially when you're right next to it. Again, ask me how I know. You have to learn by nearly killing yourself with high voltage. Right, I'm just going to kind of put that in there just to kind of help myself. Why is that? Put it in. Hot. So I've cleaned all these out. It's obviously what you have to do. But we'll turn the plug off first. We'll just bang it in. We're first just going to see if it explodes. I'm going to stand back. Turn it on. Hope for the best. Oh, there we go. Turn on. Which is good. Get our meter back out. Turn the light on so you can see what I'm doing. Where's the end? Here's the end. Where's my leads? You see that? Earth outside. Boom! Look at that, people. And what we do, we'll just wiggle the wire. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. There we go. Power supply fixed. So, just got to do a couple of things. Now, you do have to be careful because them caps that are in there are not discharged. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my strain relief down, shove that in. I'm going to glue it back down, just super glue or something along them lines, and then we'll actually see. I should really see if it charges the laptop first, shouldn't I? Before I get carried away, let's just see if it charges the laptop. Plug it back in, we'll turn it on. Here's the laptop charging lights. Where is the plug? That side. So let's put it this way. Can you see that? I'm going to plug it in. Does my laptop blow up or does the lights come on? The lights come on. There we go. And there we go. That saved me a fortune. Them power supplies are not cheap. And also having to wait for it and all that sort of stuff. Fix it yourself. Like I said, just make sure you've just gonna plug it back in with the electricity off. I can dissipate the caps, and but just be careful of them caps because they can still give you a nasty old bite. What we need to do now is put everything back. I'm going to put the what you call it? Oh, come on, get off. Put the tape back. And like I said, you've got the satisfaction really of fixing it yourself. You know, anyone can go out and buy a new one. Try and fix it yourself. Now, I kind of was hoping it's going to be more in depth, so I could, you know, kind of go through the circuit board a bit more. But I have got some things coming that I can fix for you because people have asked me to do. Well, I asked if people would like circuit board repairs, and they said yes. So There's a couple of things I've got coming. I don't know which video is going to be out first, these or them. It just depends on how they get filmed and when they get released and stuff. But yeah, so you can look forward to that. So let's put that back in. Line up the socket. The power coming in. Don't get me wrong, depending on what's wrong with them, sometimes they're not worth fixing. But for a simple case like this, you know, 100% it's worth fixing. So just slide that down there. Let a bit. The trick is to let a little bit in to let it kind of loop up. You don't want too much pressure on it because then you're going to have no point of having a strain relief. So I just need to know which way this goes in. Is it that way? Yep, that's the way. And this one will come down and lock it in place. Yep. So, just a bit of glue in there. I just like to do the edges and not worry about the two ends, because if you ever need to get back into it, it's just a little bit easier and you don't have to worry about the ends. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll just put some tape on that to keep the pressure on it, wherever my tape's gone. Why it's actually gluing down. Put a bit more pressure on that. And then, yeah, that's it. Right, I'm just going to leave that tape on it. I'm not even going to take that tape off, I'm just going to leave it on. It's no harm. But we just need to put this on now. It's just an extra bit of protection. Just in case we widen the hole a little bit and we just, you know, this will give it a little bit more strain relief. And that's it, one charger fixed. Now granted, this was a simple one, but you'd be surprised just how many times repairing the likes of this is just simple. They've either got dropped or someone's walked across it and just pulled the leads out. You know, you'll often find that they are simple to repair. Once you start getting into the transformers and stuff like that, and the bridge rectifiers and all that sort of stuff, if they pop, you know, it could have damaged the trace on the circuit board or something like that. But that's, you know, doesn't really happen that much. It's normally kind of simple repairs like that. The caps that I showed you inside, hopefully I'll be able to show you a circuit board soon. Let me just get a big cap. This is a capacitor, and the top of them, when they go, they normally bulge. You can see the top of that's flat. So when you're looking inside power supplies and stuff, it's normally, and even screens, you know, computer screens and stuff, it's normally the caps that go first, and you can just replace them. Now if one cap is gone, I would suggest you just replace them all, but hopefully I'll be able to show you that in another repair. It all depends, like everything, what we actually get in. But there we go, that's it. So look, hope it helps. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Don't forget, links up here, links down below, but most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one. Sorted.